Vault Veritas SCP Files. Episode 23 Oblivion. Say that again for the recording, pretty please.
Alright. I said, Niall, we are finalizing your paperwork and you will be free to go by the end of the day.
Music to my ears.
Whatever you said to the investigators the O5 sent was quite effective. They were fully convinced you are no threat to the Foundation and they had found no evidence of indoctrination.
I don't suppose you could remove the restraints then?
Of course.
Thank you, Dr. Sterling.
You are most welcome. I really must ask you to wait here for the release paperwork to go through, however.
Of course, of course. What's a few more hours when I've already been chained here, restless and bored for weeks?
Well, I would apologize, but I'm sure you realize it's all protocol.
Yes, we must follow protocol, mustn't we? How important.
I had just a few extra questions as well.
How exciting.
You've been complaining about having nobody to talk to for weeks, and now I offer you the chance for a lovely conversation with your favorite boss, and you give me attitude?
Oh, you're quite right, Doctor. I'm so honored by your presence here. Please, ask me anything you'd like. I haven't been examined and poked and prodded enough recently.
Cut the tone. I want to know why so much of the report you made about your experience with the Chaos Insurgency was demonstrably false.
So you've been following the investigation?
Closely.
I see. Then you'd better ask your questions.
First, while there is an abandoned insurgency cell in Seattle, it remains abandoned now. The description of the building you gave does not match the building there. The van's license plates didn't lead there. And there is no record of you having ever flown there.
I didn't hear a question in there.
Where were you? Really?
Not in Seattle.
Clearly. Why the lie? And what's the truth?
An excellent question. I believe the truth is that you ran the van's license plates, found that there were no existing records, and realized that the Foundation had already deleted and covered up the real location. Then you looked further into my report, found a number of discrepancies, and realized that all the true information had been redacted or expunged. You then clearly realized it was classified and above your clearance level. You have now decided that your curiosity outweighed the judgment of our higher-ups. Maybe you tried to contact them and were told to stop asking questions. Maybe you simply thought you had the right to know as you are my boss. So you came here, thinking that you'd catch me in a lie, and I would panic and tell you everything.
As your supervisor, I have a right to know where you've been and what you've been up to.
You have a right to know exactly as much as the Foundation believes you should.
You've been lying to us all, Niall. How am I supposed to trust a thing you say now?
I don't really care if you do or you don't, Doctor. I will not breach clearance just to put your mind at ease.
You may have some protections. You may have some extra leeway and freedom in your day-to-day activities. But I am still your direct supervisor, and I can make your life hell.
You want to talk about lying, Miranda? Let's talk about your role, then.
Let's not.
No? I think it's fascinating. The head of the ethics department. The only ethics department in existence throughout all of the Foundation. There's the ethics committee, sure. But no other site than Site 2024 has an ethics department.
You're trying to deflect from yourself and your own lies. It won't work. What happened with your investigation? How were you actually injured?
I really was stabbed by a bone lance through the leg by the predatory darkness. That part was definitely truth. Ugh. How I wish that could have been a lie.
And Damien?
Also real, though maybe less inviting than I'd let on. Can't blame me for embellishing a bit. Since we're sharing the truths now, though, your turn, Miranda. Why are you heading the only ethics department in the Foundation?
Well, Niall, perhaps I'm just that immaculately moral.
You weren't even on the ethics committee. If they were going to create a whole new department, they would have picked someone with that experience. Your background, though,
Is also classified.
and yet you go poking around my story.
Perhaps we ought to give each other some space.
What a shame that'll be. But if such sacrifices must be made...
I'll do my best to hold back my tears. But I am at least convinced that you truly are an ally. If we're playing our roles for the good of the Foundation,
then we have its best interests at heart.
exactly. Well, I'm glad we're on the same page. You'll be released in a few hours. Sit tight.
Well, I guess this tape is getting deleted. Sorry, Scott, you can't listen to this one. Although, if I'm already going to be deleting it, might as well have some fun out of it first. Incident Report 3000-4979. The most interesting to me of the myriad tales involving SCP-3000, colloquially known as Anantashesha. At least by the handful of people who actually know it even exists. Object Class Thaumiel. Risk Assessment Level insanely useful. Report made by D760, also known as Thomas Arley. Just prior to the administration of his sedative before he was to be SCP-3000's next meal. The end is not the end, is not the end, sinking down below the bobbing waves and salty breeze that blend into the depths and towards the twisting mass of godlike death that seeks to steal all that you are. Deeper and deeper and deeper it dwells, where all hope fades and nightmares swell. Bite your lips, choke back the tears, as cherished memories of prior years fade to shadows, frayed and hollow, and all that you are dims and disappears in that omniscient presence of the eel. My name is Thomas Arley. Thomas Arley, who was the son of Adam and Marie, who fought to buy a little house upon a ruined street. The frame was broken, moulding, old, corroding, patched up the cracks with tape and glue, as the images that I once knew are lost into the darkness of the water. No, that's not right. My name is Thomas Arley. Thomas Arley. I think I used to hum to the tune of the beat of my heart as I cleaned the things around me. Hungry things that strained and begged to kill, squeezing through the cracks of the bars of the cages of the vaults that don't truly contain them at all. Just hum. Drown them out. They're not really there. Nothing is there over the quiet, calming waves. Or was that someone else's skill? Someone else and not myself who hummed a jaunty tale of complacency and quiet calm, which disappeared into a swirling whirl of oblivion and clawing legs? I strain against the smudging edges of my sanity, fighting to retain some small shred of that humanity that seems to float away into the darkness of the waters, thick and brackish, that swirl and flow around that eel. These waters that ebb and flow and bite in chilling fear that gnaws through the skin and into bone and seeks to seep into the lungs and suffocate all that I once knew. So desperately and hauntingly familiar. I've been here before. The inching cold and cloying ice that pierces through my memory conjures images of that deep pool stood still and eerie. The pollen-dusted tarp kept the waters clean and clear, blocking out the germs and dust that danced through the cold air, landing on the canvas, covering the pristine water as we gathered round, mere children, in a once friend's backyard. The other kids dared me to jump, so I jumped. The flimsy tarp was not as solid as it seemed, stretching barely anchored, tied with worn coarse string, which snapped and broke the moment that I fell. The chlorinated water flooded mercilessly over, stinging eyes and coating tongue with the bitter taste of panic as the tarp unfolds and tangles overhead, swallowing rays of sun. Which way is up again? Swinging arms and kicking legs to seek the now lost surface, once a given, now a precious, desperate need. The canvas closing in around me does not care enough to give, seeks instead to wrap itself around the swinging limbs and drag me down. Then hands plunge below the surface, drag me up into the light, sputtering and coughing out the bitter water that marked me, inside and out. My brain grasps to understand the sheer stupidity of what I've done. Glancing backwards at the pool gave just an inkling of the trouble. Cast to the me that's in the now, beyond simple torn pride. The tarp that sank into the depths beneath the numbing water, snaked and twisted, looping inward to form the eel that waits outside. It's waiting for me. It's been waiting for so long. What was my name again? Thomas? 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 It doesn't matter. Names mean nothing here. Here within the iron lung that sinks beneath the waves, hovers at a respectful distance that won't offend, the coiled mass of godlike eel that waits and watches us, amused at all of our tantalizing fear. It knows, of course, that we exploit the precious chemical, which oozes slowly from its skin whenever it is fed. But why should it care when we've given it all that it wants and more? So harvest. Take the strange silver goo streaming from the mottled skin of that vast, endless eel. Collect it. Use it. And try not to think about the hollowed corpses, devoid of all personhood and sapiency and soul. The condensed and filtered identity, the goo which we collect to form the dear amnestics the Foundation thinks perfect, robbing others of their precious memories, identities, and thoughts. Simply choose to ignore the gnawing terror and the guilt which inches at the edges of your fraying mind. What does it matter? It's not you who will be dying. My name is... My name... I don't recall. It's gone, along with the memories of who I was, and all I'd hoped and what I used to be. All the joy and the pain and the pride and the hurt and the peace and the power and the grief and the me. There's only the fear and the dark and swirling waters, gushing, flowing, ebbing, rushing, pushing me ever closer to that toothed maw and oblivion. I wonder what poor memories of others like the me that once I was, the goo of mine will seek to take. I'm ready now to drift away, forgotten, as the eel's dark hunger slakes. I don't pretend that this protocol, the Atsac protocol, is ethical. I don't pretend we aren't engaging in a necessary evil, but it is necessary. Our foundation simply could not exist without the amnestics we gain from the eel after digest a human mind and soul. The secrecy that's rife through the Foundation is an unfortunate, needed reality. But I do not expect Scott nor Mary to understand. There is no reason for them to ever know. Though, of all the people to have on my side in keeping secrets, I was not expecting Miranda. Curious. I'll be interested to see where this new alliance goes. But for now, I'll let it lie. It feels good to be free.
Vault Veritas SCP Files is a podcast inspired by the SCP Foundation. Oblivion is based on SCP-3000 by A Random Day, Jitcactus, and Jorith, from the SCP Wiki located at scp-wiki.com/SCP-3000. It is licensed under a Creative Commons Attribution Share-alike 3.0 unported license. This episode featured D.R. Thompson as Niall Connors and Mintaka Angel as Dr. Miranda Sterling. It was written and edited by Leola Angel. We welcome comments. Please rate and review us. Email us at vaultveritas@gmail.com. Join our Discord channel using the link in the episode description. Tweet us at Vault Veritas. Or for additional content, visit our Patreon. Thanks for listening.